Gentlemen, we are back. So much has happened in the National Hockey League. Last time we were playing, the Leafs were up. They beat the Tampa Bay Lightning not long after that last episode. And since then, somehow, this was 3 weeks ago, the sky is still falling in Toronto. The reckoning has come. Kyle Dubas is gone. This and much more on the return of the 2-1 podcast. Fellas, how are we?
Good.
I'm pretty good. How
Happy
are you?
Victoria Day.
Oh,
Happy
oh God, it is. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't wait
yeah.
for fireworks to just piss my dogs off all day.
You know
That's
what's
gonna be
funny?
weather.
I heard him today, like at 11 when I was walking.
That's weird.
Like, who's
That's
shooting
weird.
fireworks already?
Did you hear him last night?
I heard a bit, and then this morning, I'm like, why am I hearing so many? And I'm hoping they're fireworks.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's hockey. This is true. This is all right.
Mhm.
Oh my God, guys. Okay, so these are some of the major things that have happened since we last recorded. I don't think we're going to get to all of this, to be honest with you. But this is what's happened. First
Mhm.
off, Gabe Landeskog won't play next year. Bowman and Quinville are meeting with the league at the end of the playoffs. The Oilers still can't play 5-on-5 hockey. Craig Conroy is going to be the Flames' new GM. The Jets went out with a whimper. Yeah, I haven't forgotten about that, guys. We're going to talk about it. The Coyotes are maybe not going to be in Arizona in a couple of years. Connor Bedard is going to be a Blackhawk. No one likes that. Keith Jones is now the head of the Flyers. He's the president. That's weird. Gerard Gallant got fired. Daryl Sutter got fired. And the Leafs are on fire. And by the way, we're in the conference finals right now, but somehow the games are like the third most important thing happening right now. Playoff hockey, man, on and off the ice, it's nuts right now. Ooh, there's a lot going on here, fellas. There's a lot going on. Even,
I like that summary, by the way, Adam. That was a good summary.
I just read a list of stuff.
Thank you.
To be honest. It's that and like right now the conference finals in both the NHL and the NBA are pretty fun. You wouldn't know the Nuggets are up 3-0. You would only know that the Lakers are down 0-3. Miami's up 3-0, and then in the NHL,
Boston gave up.
oh, they did. They did.
did.
I love the jokes going around that right now the state of Florida are terrorizing the Boston teams in sort of every sport right now. It's just so strange. So strange. Jimmy Buckets, man. Jimmy Buckets.
Mhm.
Good player. Jimmy Buckets. Okay. I can hear motorcycles, and I kind of forgot how much I hate recording in the summer.
That's how you know it's a long weekend, all the motorcycles.
I mean, it is the end of the long weekend, though, which is like,
Yeah.
it's a Sunday today, technically. It just sucks. Just sucks. All right, fellas. And then in the conference finals in the NHL, every game's gone to overtime. It's been thrilling. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Except the one that goes until 2 a.m.
Yeah,
I
luckily,
tried.
You're a brave man.
After the below T, I fell asleep.
I went to bed at the end of the first because I had work, and I woke up and I'm like, excuse me? I love how Gord Miller was like, because he's in Latvia for the World Championships. He's like, I went to bed as the game started. I woke up and it was still going on.
My God.
That is very unfortunate. Also, it makes you realize he only got like 7 hours of sleep, Gord. Come on.
Mm.
Don't actually
busy
check
guy.
if I did that properly. I'm in journalism because I was told there'd be no math.
I think you carry the one and then subtract somewhere.
And
Yeah.
7. I got
Okay.
Bagul. Love to see it. Okay, let's just get into this. Again, we focus on the Habs and the Leafs. The Habs haven't done anything for like a month now. Where's the Caulfield extension? Except Mountain Bell being good in the World Championships. Devin Levi, who? Go Sam Mountain Bell. Mountain Show, but not a Mountain Show. So let's talk about the Leafs. Oh boy, it's been it's been wild there. So they do beat Tampa. The stories made about how all the wins in overtime, they were the you could say they weren't the better team. Andrei Vasilevsky wasn't good. No one cares. They went out and they won. They go then into the second round against the Boston they choked. The Florida Panthers, led by Matthew Tkachuk, led by Sergei Bobrovsky, upset the President's Trophy winners, and the path is there for the Leafs. My prediction of them going to the finals looked great. I already won my bet with Rokostopoulos that they win round 1. It was looking good. We were all ready.
What did you win, by the way? Was
a Volcarona plushie. It's a Pokemon. Looks
Okay.
like a moth, fire moth.
All right.
We go to the second round. It's against the Florida Panthers, and we're all thinking the same thing. The Leafs are going to be waiting for the Hurricanes in the conference finals because no one thought New Jersey were going to win. And if you think they did, then you're a liar. Then again, you guys did think the Islanders were going to be there. Never mind. Yeah, you guys owe the Canes an apology.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking
No,
about it.
I'm
absolutely,
sorry.
absolutely.
I completely
I
forgot
think
about
I
that.
did apologize. I think on Twitter.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
we're not
Freddie Anderson.
no
And
apologies.
Oh,
Tim
I don't
Martino.
apologize to him. I'm not
Okay.
apologizing to him.
So second round happens. By every measurable stat, the Leafs were the better team, except where it mattered, and that was the wins. They lose, end up in 5. Alex was unfortunately at game 5. I'm sorry for that, my friend.
That's
The
okay.
fallout last week was I don't think yes. Kyle Dubas, after earlier in the week having a press conference saying he had to talk to his family about his future. Wasn't sure if he was going to be the Leaf. He wanted to continue being the Leafs GM. Never forget. Remember the Hello Marietta dude who tweeted at his grandma earlier in the season?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember that. All this type of stuff. But there's still a vibe around. But it was a bombshell. Later in the week, Brandon Shanahan, the president, he appears from nowhere like Batman from the cave. And it turns out Kyle Dubas is gone. He's no longer the GM, shivved on the way out by Brandon Shanahan, quoting him not being sure, sneakily mentioning an additional raised money sort of package from Mr. Dubas' agent, really just not making him look good on the way out, saying he did a good job as a GM, but maybe alluding to the fact that Dubas just wasn't cut out to be there anymore. I specifically remember that line about it takes a toll on all our families, but this is the job we choose. No one talks about that line a lot. And now
That's a good
we
line,
sit
by the
here.
way. That's
It
I
is,
like that.
yeah.
I mean, not for the what it meant.
It's a good quote, but it's
a good quote. Yeah,
we know what he was doing.
It's a dig.
Elliot Friedman reports that the Leafs are looking for a GM with bite. Everyone mentions the names like Mark Bergevin, Brad Treliving, who was somehow Mr. got cucked by his own team with the coach, and they got rid of him anyway. All this is happening. We don't know who the next GM is going to be in Toronto. We don't even know Sheldon Keefe's future. And at the end of this, we don't know what's going on with William Nylander. We don't know what's going to happen with Mitch Marner. We don't know what's going to happen with Morgan Riley even. We always forget about him. John Tavares, we don't know. And most importantly, we don't know the future right now
of Lucien.
Of Austin Matthews. Gentlemen, I just thought we'd quickly go through the history here because, how else do you set this up? There are so many little details today. I think this is the segment why I say we're not going to get to everything because so much is going to happen here. I should also mention, by the way, Jason Spezza resigned before the Shanahan press conference. He is gone. AHL staff cleared out, not being renewed. It looks like they're going to probably have another loss if they do keep Sheldon Keefe. Spencer Carberry is being talked to by so many teams by every single report we're seeing for head coaching opportunities. He was a finalist for Boston last year.
Carberry?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it was
I forgot
Boston.
about that. No, you're right. I forgot about that.
All this and more. It's Toronto. It's overshadowing the conference finals right now. What do we have to say, gentlemen?
Man, oh man. There's so much to I don't even know where to start.
I know.
I know. I'm
Do we go back to Kyle Dubas' press conference?
Sure, we can.
It's an odd one.
You know what? I'll start with this. The ironic part of all of this is this was his 5th year as general manager. And in all 4 end of year press conferences prior to this one, he's doubled down on the core, right? Every year. But this year he didn't. And it cost him I don't think it necessarily cost him obviously it definitely didn't cost him his job, but I do find it funny that the 1 year he doesn't double down on the core.
We can and we will. If you had to put words of a legacy to describe someone, that would be his. We can and we will about that core 4 group of players.
Well, signing them all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget the initial question, I believe, was signing, competing overall.
Right.
I believe it was it was on the 32 Thoughts podcast all those years ago, I think. And yet he said, we're open to anything, any piece of business. Marner has a no. I think is the full no move kicking in July 1st. That
Oh
or some
yeah,
sort of
Marner and Matthews.
yeah. Nylander I think has like a 10-team trade clause that's going to be in there
Hmm.
too. It really felt like there were going to be fireworks. There still could be,
Oh, there's going to be fireworks.
but we all thought after that press conference, and I think the three of us had the same sort of viewpoint here. If anyone was going to move here, and I think I said if you're going to at least keep one person at the end of all of this when it comes to staff wise, Kyle Dubas would be the one guy you would keep.
Sure.
I think it's fair to say
Mhm.
the thing that ultimately failed the Leafs in the playoffs were the players.
Hmm. But it's and I think what this all comes down to is though that's been the issue.
Mm-hmm.
That's been the issue. Listen, you can make an art, and I'd make the argument too. You can make the argument about Sheldon Keefe's coaching and him being outcoached 1,000%, 1,000%. By Dom Ducharme of all people as well, right? So like we can make the it's
Never
just the
forget.
point of my argument. He's definitely been outcoached. And it's not like the level of coaches have always been outstanding. But at the same time, the players, time and time and time again, I mean, this goes back pre-Dubas. Not really pre-Dubas. They're too young back then, I guess. But, I really think starting with the Columbus series, they weren't there. You have Jason Spezza out there fighting people for what against Columbus to try to get you something, and that didn't work. Then you have Montreal, and yeah, John Tavares goes down, but invisible after game 4. You go, who was after Montreal? Tampa, right?
I think Tampa won.
Much closer, but still, you couldn't get over the line. You scored one goal, one legitimate goal in game 7.
Were they up 3-2 in that series? I can't remember.
They were.
Yeah, they were.
They
They were,
lost in
okay.
overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So the issue here is Kyle Dubas. Yes, you can make the argument that he was the one guy. If you had to make the argument for one guy, the one guy that should have stayed. But the issue here is he doubled down every single year until now. And I think that's why that's my strong argument as to why maybe it is someone else who's going to have to fix or make a trade or stir the pot a little bit, because everything that's coming out, and sure, you can be, one of the things everyone says about Dubas is about how he's a nice guy, and McCabe gets injured, he goes to the hospital. Tavares gets injured, he calls the family. Those type of things. But when it came down to it with the contract negotiations and the such, there was no accountability.
Let me ask you two this question. So after that press conference, after we hear the line of he wasn't sure if he was coming back,
Sure.
maybe it's a little difficult.
By Dubas or by
Dubas,
Shanahan?
sorry, yeah,
Okay.
Dubas. So at the time where we still think there's a chance he could come back,
Mhm.
what were you guys thinking then? Because I still had a thing in my mind he's going to come back. Of course he's going to come back.
I thought they were still negotiating.
I did too. When it did come out of Brendan Shanahan's press conference, I thought there was going to be more time towards this. And in all fairness, I thought it was, if Dubas was not coming back, I thought it was going to be Sheldon Keefe out first and then
Mhm.
Kyle Dubas.
I was with you there. I had the same thought.
I really felt that right now, I guess in my opinion, the focus is Kyle Dubas, but I think with Sheldon Keefe, he is a Kyle Dubas coach, like for many, many years. We go back to the Greyhounds, and I just don't see him staying there as well if they feel like there was that accountability issue right now with Kyle Dubas. For me, it is interesting. I like what you mentioned, Alex, that he was a player's GM, I guess individually, but when it did come down to the awkward conversations, it did come down to what are these extensions going to look like. We don't know what happened behind closed doors, but it did feel like he did relent a bit. I do give him credit though for realizing the focus he had on this team when he came to building it. The skill, the speed, and trying to find a balance between that. I think he did that really well with the trade deadline. We talked about how it was his last stand. He went all in and tried to add the pieces that he felt complemented the best. Felt that they complemented a more of a playoff style. And for me, it was still a collective disappointment. We talk about the grit Jake McCabe brought to the team, and he was the guy that was always mentioned being out of place when it came to going for that big check. Ryan O'Reilly, I know he was dealing with injuries, but I know a lot of people expected more out of him. For me, I see it in a way that if Toronto really want to get to that next place, it wasn't going to be with Kyle Dubas, but at the same time, it's just an even bigger risk right now because he was that GM for so many of your core players. And if this truly is your last chance, pending all the extensions, pending what's going to happen right now, you really have to hit on who is going to be your next GM.
Can I add two things to that? The first one I
Yeah.
think is extremely relevant. The second one is, Adam, you tell me if I should wait. So the first thing is you added, you talk about, Daniel, you were mentioning the, this being their GM, I guess, in a way. They had 32 thoughts was posted this morning, and Friedman was suggesting that some of the players were upset that Dubas was fired. I just want to say I have zero sympathy. I have absolutely none. I hope they understand and they know who these players know who they are based on how much money they're getting. They are the reason that one general manager is fired, and now about two coaches will be fired. Because when this new GM comes in, Sheldon Keefe is gone. Right? He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
They are responsible for a general manager and two coaches being fired. So I have absolutely no sympathy at all. I don't care. I don't feel bad. Move on. If that's the reason you don't want to stay in Toronto, and I'm just suggesting it, I don't know.
Yeah.
No one's really suggesting that. Everything that has been said about Matthews is just how it works. Like we don't need to talk about that. If you don't want to stay here because Kyle Dubas is no longer here, what do you want me to say? Leave? Like, I don't know. I don't feel bad. I don't have any sympathy. Like, this is, again, I've said this for 2 years in a row, or maybe 3. This is very much on the players. And, I don't know if you want to talk about Brendan Shanahan now, like not his press conference, just Brendan Shanahan and his position.
Before we do that,
Yeah.
I just want to quickly I want to make one note on one player specifically.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before I get to that, somehow the Sharks convinced Thomas Hertl to commit there long term. I think another guy can convince Austin Matthews to stay at the end. I don't think players are that hard to always commit. Like, don't worry about it. I'm not too concerned about that.
No, I'm not worried, but if you don't want to be here, the door is over there.
So
like, I don't know what the other option is here.
One player who I have been waiting to say this. I hate ripping on Mitch Marner. However, I thought every time he opened his mouth in that Panther series, I think he did more and more damage to himself. We don't listen to you guys. We got years on our contract left. Like, Mitch, man. First off, we know for a fact that you listen because we were there. You are caught on camera in the Amazon doc basically being told, man, relax, block out the noise. We know for a fact that you're affected by this stuff. We know you are, Mitch. So don't even do that. We have years on our contract. That doesn't mean anything in this league. It doesn't mean anything. I just felt like Mitch Marner took everything so and I know he has gotten so much crap. Talk about that Montreal series. My dear God, did he get so much flame for it. brother, I don't think did he break any games in that
No,
Panthers series? Was he a
No.
game? No, man.
no.
No, like listen, Nylander. I think you keep Neil. I think I am terrified if I was a Leafs fan and Matthews get his big contract, Marner stays, and Nylander's the one who they end up drawing the line on. He goes, I'd be because I mean, listen, he was great in the playoffs. Matthews is a top 5 player in this league. Nothing matters compared to him. If I'm them, for example, I don't care if he's not extended July 1st. I have him for another year. I do everything I can because that type of player does not come out of nowhere. That's my view on that. Marner, right now, man, at this point, we have to draw the line at like, listen, dude, if you can't play in this market, I'm sorry, dude, you're gone. It's not on you anymore. At the end of the day, you listen to players to a certain extent. And at the same point, if you're not performing, dude, I don't care what you want. I don't care your feelings here. You got to go.
I
And is that
wish.
me
Oh,
saying
sorry.
that Mitch Marner is the player that needs to go? I know I'm saying this is a Selke finalist, a guy who is the sort of the 100-point player that has never hit 100 points, but we all know he's capable of doing it. If Mitch Marner ever wins a scoring trophy, I'm not going to be surprised. But at this point, personally, as an outsider of this team, I'm fed up with it, dude. I'm so done with Mitch Marner in this Leafs uniform. I can't. I don't think he can handle it.
It's there's been 3 years of this, yeah, of the regular season performance and disappearing in the playoffs. Um, we've mentioned a lot too. When Phil Kessel was in Toronto, of him never really being that guy, but being a very skilled star player. I don't know if like Marner has to have that same type of pressure. Like this is a more talented team. This is someone where you have literally a guy talking to the media for you every time in John Tavares. You have a franchise guy in Austin Matthews already. For me, I want Marner to just play his game.
The issue here is the difference between Phil Kessel and Mitch Marner is, and you correct me if I'm wrong, like maybe you remember this differently than I do, but when Phil Kessel was here and went through a contract negotiation, I wasn't hearing something about him from him or his agent or his father once a week. When Austin Matthews, in the middle of a season, signed a contract extension, I didn't hear the same day Phil Kessel, like someone else's agent, talking about the Austin Matthews deal. When it was time for him to negotiate, I didn't hear that him complaining about entry-level bonuses. You're making $10.9 million. Are you actually going to argue with me about $5 million or $6 million worth of bonuses when you're probably making that? You're making more than that in advertising per year, man. If Mitch Marner had the same, what's the word? It's not mentality. If he had the same, let's call it calmness as William Nylander, I would love it. I would love it. When I know some people criticize Nylander for the quote, but I just think that's because it was William Nylander. But in game 4, before game 4, when William Nylander spoke to the media and he said tonight's going to be fun, I wish Mitch Marner was thinking that, because I don't think he was.
I think he would think it feels like sometimes in playoffs it looks like Mitch Marner is walking on eggshells in a way. Like I just don't think that confidence that it feels like, what is it? The moment he got that contract, it was like he went how long without a playoff goal or something. He had that power play drought forever where he couldn't score.
Bad penalties.
Yes. We'll never forget that. I hate to say it, but I celebrated many of those, obviously, because it benefited my team.
Yeah, he cried the blues, and it's not funny. It's not cute anymore. That's what I think this is.
What?
He cried the blues when during the contract negotiations.
Oh yeah.
Like this. Sorry, Daniel. I know you said 3 years ago, but this started the moment he signed that contract.
I remember hated recording because I don't think that was long after we started recording. I think
that was the summer
regular
we
season.
started.
Yeah,
remember the Blue Jackets rumor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yo. I would laugh so hard if they trade that. I don't think there's a piece that necessarily the Leafs would want unless they're doing like a Kent Johnson type thing. I don't know if Columbus would do that, but like just imagine how funny it would be if he ended up going there, because he doesn't want to be there because obviously he rejected the offer sheet. But that would be really, really funny. Like
The Islanders. What would be funnier, the Islanders or the Blue Jackets?
I would love to see what his production looks like if he was an Islander. Like I think it would be really funny. Well, I mean, but you talk about if Leafs fans were harsh on you, Mitch, I hate to tell you that.
Yeah.
The ask Johnny T about how the Islanders fans are going to be treating you if you don't play well there. But That's neither here nor there yet. Okay, let's talk about Mr. Brandon Shanahan. So just quickly before we get too much into his position, I'm assuming everyone has seen his press conference or you have seen quotes on what's coming up. We'll give a quick recap. He gave a very, very detailed sort of timeline, almost as if it was sort of purposely put together to sort of give their side of the story. I encourage everyone to go watch it. Or, I think Steve Dangle's video about all this was actually very, very, very good too. 32 Thoughts also did it intertwined with some of the audio. Outlines it, Shanahan saying, again, Dubas's comments from his presser made him start to think if he was really the guy going forward, all this type of stuff. Talks about Dubas's agent coming with a new financial package. Everyone says more money. Insert joke about Dubas wanting more money before actually performing like the core he signed. Sorry, Alex, had to make the joke, even though many people beat me to it. A lot has come out the last couple of days about maybe Dubas wanted more power. A thing of the board of MLSE is actually much more involved than we think that they are. There's a lot going on here. Alex, what specifically, I'll go back to what you were about to say about Shanahan and his position a few minutes ago, if you want to go back to that, and we can talk about Shanahan from here. Because I think he needs to be. I think we gotta talk about Mr. Shanahan here.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about like when the Leafs announced Dubas was they were gonna part ways, and then Shanahan had his press conference. I saw a lot of we'll call them pro Shanahan takes. Like I don't know what else to call them, but pro Shanahan takes. And if I remember correctly, we spent the entire season saying once again that if the Leafs poop the bed, we're clearing house.
Mm-hmm.
Is he not in? Like, I'm curious to know from people, is he not included in that? Because a lot of people, when talking about the moves that were made, and Shanahan stuck up for Dubas, he put him in that position and whatever. Yeah, he did. Let's put it in perspective, because everyone's talking about the contracts that Dubas signed and mainly that, and some of the trades that he's made. And, if the structure is really the way the structure is, Shanahan, let's put it in perspective like this. Brendan Shanahan put Kyle Dubas in a position of that a general manager, first-time general manager, was going to sign John Tavares to a 7-year contract, had to extend William Nylander, Austin Matthews, and Mitch Marner.
Mm-hmm.
He did that. So if you're suggesting that, like, he's not at fault for any of this, he's at major fault for all of this. He's just as responsible to me about this as anyone else, because at the start of it, he put Kyle Dubas in this situation. Of course, Adam, if someone offered you the GM of the Montreal Canadiens tomorrow, would you take it?
Oh yeah, I do. She'll do a crap job, but I'd take
but you would take it, right?
Of course.
Again,
in a heartbeat.
I'm not suggesting Kyle Dubas deserves no blame. He absolutely deserves blame in this. He doubled down on this core. He signed those contracts, whatever. At the end of the day, everyone was saying that Brendan Shanahan's running a business here. So is MLSE.
Okay. I'm happy you mentioned them. I want to talk about this. I love watching Dragon's Den UK. I think it's great. There are billionaires on that show.
Yeah.
Okay, right? And you can say, again, if you want to go to Shark's Tank or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you watch that, have you heard a billionaire being like, I don't like the valuation of your company. And the person will be asking for $40,000, which is a drop in the bucket for people like that. If I keep hearing about MLSE being a bottomless well, I'm going to lose my mind. Because here's the thing about rich people. Despite the fact that they have lots of money, they don't like giving it away. Okay? So here's the thing about the contracts. What is a staple of a Maple Leaf superstar getting his contract? Or any Leaf? What do we know that they do more than any other team when it comes to contracts?
Signing bonuses.
Okay. So, and I think it's minimum, like some of their signing bonuses have been north of $10 million.
Correct.
And again, everyone gets paid signing bonuses on July 1st, I'm pretty sure.
And in USD, baby.
Yes.
So you're telling me that Larry Tannenbaum, Rogers and Bell, and Shanahan all together, now that we know MLSE are involved apparently with hockey moves, you're telling me no one there should not be held responsible for paying out, if you look at all of the core four, tens of millions on that single day. You think none of them were being like, I don't know about this, guys. You're telling me none of them were like, everyone signs off on that. Everyone knows it's happening.
Right.
So Shanahan agreed on those deals. The owners agreed. And that's not just the Leafs thing. As the owner, you're going to have to be... Remember when that video of Johnny Gaudreau signing in Columbus came out, and there was that belief like, we just got to talk to the owner. He'll probably be good.
Yeah.
It's run by the owner here.
100%.
Don't like losing money. They're freaking cheap on it sometimes. So we just got to all relax here and be like this is that at every level, every single level.
Yes.
And we know also came out that apparently on Wednesday, Dubas was having meetings with coaching staff and other staff members about trying to improve the team.
Sure.
So let's just throw this window about how Dubas doesn't or is unsure about wanting to be there. And even if he does, he was still doing his damnedest in his last few days. I don't think Kyle Dubas is the perfect GM. I have been very critical before. Let's not get this twisted. This is such a petty thing the past few days. Even if it's the money, if you've been fine giving tens of millions to your players, you can afford to pay Kyle Dubas. All right, I know you're upset about Babcock,
but it's not a money thing, right?
It's not a process thing. This is pure. And again, something else about billionaires and rich people. They have huge egos. Sorry. This is all this is. This is everyone. And what was it Elliot Friedman said? He's like, I can't get into too many details, but he's like, Rogers don't like, for example, and they're one of the big three players here, don't like being surprised in negotiations. Again, the people who sign his checks because he works for sports.
Yeah.
So, let's just all put our cards on the table here and realize at the end of the day, what's just happened to Kyle Dubas. And listen, again, I'm not saying, is there a part of him that probably deserves to be fired or removed?
Yes.
Yes. Would I have personally have done it? No. But this was petty at the end of the day. What's happened here? That shanking, that stuff, the knife in Kyle Dubas' his chest is being twisted.
No,
Come on, guys.
I will let you go. I find it hysterical that, after watching this go down for 5 years, the Paul Marner, the William Nylander negotiations, the Mitch Marner negotiations, Brendan Shanahan comes out and says, and he takes a stand 5 years later. You could have come out and said things like this 5 years ago. You could have come out and said these things when the core three players, listen, at the end of the day, John Tavares was going to, whatever. It's the lot of money, but I want to focus on those three negotiations here. He could have done this 4 or 5 years ago. Instead, he didn't. It's petty. I want to be clear. This is not a Kyle. I'm not trying to be pro Dubas. I just want to understand why now all of a sudden we're going to decide to be petty 5 years later when you could have made these decisions years ago. You could have been if you're the president of hockey operations, do not tell me that you're not involved. We know you're involved. Elliot Friedman almost confirmed it this morning when he said that he's heard that some people would be worried about the structure of the organization. You're not getting a big name GM to come in here. Not now. Not after, definitely not now. You're not getting anything to me unless there's some sacrifice of autonomy here. You're not getting anything above a Brad Treliving-esque GM, which is a fine GM, but you're not getting anyone above that. Just being realistic.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, where a lot of these moves we have criticized Kyle Dubas before for it, but we know how close Brendan Shanahan has been to all of these deals. I think about this when we talk about like what is the legacy Kyle Dubas leaves with Toronto. For me, I want to focus more on just I guess it's falling out of things because for so long it was like an inevitable thing. I guess for me at least that it wasn't always going to be Lou Lamoriello forever. It wasn't
Sure.
going to be a Mark Hunter future.
Yeah.
We already kind of knew Kyle Dubas was Shanahan's guy. It was his guy he was mentoring. It was a guy that we saw as the longevity of what Toronto wants to be, a modern team using the analytics, being a skilled, fast team that doesn't always have the emphasis on size. And to kind of scrap it the way he did it is a weird way to see how petty it's become. I really did not feel comfortable watching Brendan Shanahan's press conference, pushing all the blame on how he felt, how he changed. Things just changed differently from the press conference and this email. This is just the elusive email that I want to one day maybe read, but I know we won't be able to read it. But it just doesn't add up. Like these factors of we had this negotiations going on for so long. We had a year basically to think about what we wanted to say, and then suddenly a change of heart within the last week or so. It's just odd to me. I know Elliot Freeman did speak about MLSC and the status of it right now, what's going on with it. Don't quote me. I think he did mention a Game of Thrones thing, right?
He did.
Yeah.
He said the front
And
office is like Game of Thrones right now.
Oh,
yeah. So it's a chaotic time. I don't know what's going to come out of this, especially for how it's going to affect the Leafs, but I don't think whatever happens with Toronto, and I did like what you said about you don't know what kind of GM you're going to get at this time, but it's just a weird time to see what it's going to look like for the Leafs, at least for the upcoming season, or how even like the draft is going to be like.
They have put them. Here's what's wild is you think this time last week they wanted Dubas to be GM.
Mhm.
Now it is going to be a mad dash. It is, as we record this, it is May 22nd. The draft's like a month away. And the draft isn't just simply picking players, as we know. There's a lot of action. Daniel, we got to see a pretty fun draft with some fun trades for the home team last year. It's a pretty good time. The amount of work that gets done at that draft, and then of course free agency, that's seriously team shaping. The consequences of that stuff is going to be felt for years. So they need a new coach. Can we all agree that Sheldon's gone?
Yes. That's a prerequisite for the job.
So do we just say lame duck? The simplest answer is Treliving comes in and Spencer Carberry gets promoted? Is that what we want to say here? Because
man.
I wouldn't want to lose Spencer Carberry. There's clearly something there because obviously there's all this interest in him. You guys will obviously know his work a lot better than I will, but
is he going to kick the players in the ass when it matters?
That's the kind
simple.
of coach they need, right? There's no more of this. Remember the hoopla around Sheldon saying the team was soft and he had to walk it back? I remember.
Don't remind me.
I think it was like at this point, like who is that coach? Who is that GM? Who are they? And I do not mean to. Listen.
Don't say it.
I'm not going to because
Don't
Mark Bergevin has been said to be a player's GM before. Even though he has bite, he'll make ballsy summer moves. I'll give you that. But I would say in a perfect world, you would guess you would want Eric Tulsky. I don't know if that fits what Shanahan wants if he wants an experienced GM. I don't know who exactly the guy is there who we're missing. I legitimately do think I don't think Bergevin would be the worst move. I would laugh about it because of course I would.
I would
but,
stop
no.
watching. There's 3 general managers I would actually stop watching this team for, and
So
he's
I
one
Mark
of them.
okay,
Bergeron. Who was the
yeah,
other two?
betting
Just
Yep.
saying.
and Bowman.
Nope.
No.
Um,
The return of John Ferguson Jr.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Nope.
Dave Nonis.
Peter Chiarelli.
Oh God,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yo, imagine this. Imagine this. Shanahan's worked in player safety, so he's worked with the league. The league love recommending their guys. Chiarelli's a hockey guy. The league
Oh,
has
that's
recommended
not.
him before.
I thought you were gonna say George Peros, and I was.
Oh God, no! I was not going the Adam Wild route. Yo, could you imagine though? Okay, no. But I'm
I could.
man. Okay, you talk about the Islanders because they've made kind of crap trades with the Islanders. Did Chiarelli's team in the past? So what are we thinking? Marner for his. Oh God, Marner for Noah Dobson.
What?
Because it's
I
just a
don't know.
weird
Yeah,
trade.
no.
I don't
I
know.
don't
It's
know.
Cirelli.
I don't know.
Stuff
I
happens.
mean, Noah Dobson at least has more upside than
I,
Adam Larson.
I was about to say, I thought you said that Mitch Martin. I'm like, damn.
No, like an Adam Larson, but like Marner's,
So
at least 3 or 4 levels ahead of Taylor Hall.
Darren Dreger
Oh,
reported before the show
Oh,
that
thank
the
God.
Pittsburgh Penguins have been given permission to speak to Kyle Dubas. Now, here's what I remember remember after I think Kent Hughes was hired in this presser, Jeff Gordon had basically said they went through the motions and they went back to Kent Hughes to say, do you want the job? Even though at first he wasn't kind of sure on it. But he was the guy for the job. That's who they wanted, was Kent Hughes. Friedman was talking about a few days ago that Pittsburgh are down very far in their process. Also, we'll go back to Dubas' press conference where he said it was either Toronto or he would take a rest. I think it's pretty clear for you, in my opinion, they want Kyle Dubas. And if it is true that they're far down the line and Dreger is true that they have permission to talk to him, if Dubas wants it, if he wants to maybe get a bit spiteful, a bit jealous here, I think that's their guy right now.
Oh,
It's
100%.
It's just a question of does Dubas want to get nasty about this?
It hasn't, but I don't even see why it has to be about getting nasty.
Well, because he said Toronto or nothing, and maybe feelings are a bit hurt. And I wouldn't mind getting Sidney Crosby.
And if you are gonna, man, if you are going to criticize him, this is what I'm going to say. Go back to because it's going to be the same people. Go back a week before and read the quote that you wrote that said, it's a business, deal with it. That's what this is. If you want to play that game with Brendan Shanahan, you're going to play the same game with Kyle Dubas. Who cares? Who cares? Even if he becomes the general manager of the Ottawa Senators, who cares?
I actually really want that to happen. I think that'd be really neat.
And then they can hire Sheldon Keefe.
That's gonna be
right there, yeah.
So it doesn't have to be the Rangers. Mike can get his sleep back.
Anything else on Toronto we want to touch on?
Okay, I mentioned my legacy of Kyle Dubas. I think for me, he did bring a brand of hockey that I saw as bringing rejuvenating Toronto, giving it more success. I know it wasn't in the playoffs, but it did rejuvenate what we wanted in the city. I think when it came to the Shannon plan and the phase he kind of wanted, in a way it was successful, just not with the runs. It's just, it was a competitive team compared to what we saw for a very long
2
time
decades.
between basically 2 decades. So I don't know what happens next. I still think they're going to be competitive, but I like that he did help usher in this new era. Alex, what is
No, I would just say it's this whole thing is comical because I'm not pro Dubas. I think you can make the argument for him to be fired. It's just the way it went down and the pettiness of all of this. It's just so childish. Oh no, someone asked for a little bit of change and you got so upset that you just let him go. That's what's comical about this to me. That's whatever.
I think we're all looking forward to whenever Kyle Dubas does speak. Okay, next I want to talk about.
Do you think it'll be Pierre LeBrun who writes that article or someone else?
James Myrtle.
Probably.
Well, it's gonna be one of them. Or will Pierre LeBrun write the article
Yo,
after he
what-
speaks and what rival GMs have to say?
When does here's what I want to know. When does Katie Strang do her Leafs exposed piece? You know, the backroom dealings. That's what I want to know.
That's true.
She's had some great articles, especially that one about the Coyotes, and well, I'm sure another one's coming soon because oh boy. So, I mean, let's be honest, this is the second biggest piece of news besides the playoffs here. All right, guys, let's again revisit some history here. So the Arizona Coyotes, this season and at least next season, of course, we know have been playing at the Arizona State University rink. The Sun Devils, they share the logo and everything. It's less than 5,000 seats because of the renovations it costs. You remember the big long trip at the beginning of the year because the facilities weren't quite ready yet. But it was all okay. It was all okay because they were going to eventually get the whole thing in Tempe sorted out. They were going to get this big arena, this big complex, and hockey in the desert, ignoring Vegas. Was finally going to work, and Gary Bettman was going to be happy and say, I told you so, and they were going to build a team around Clayton Keller and Matthews was going to go back there in free agency. I'm kidding. And everything was going to work in Arizona. Tempe City Council were like, yeah, let's do this, guys. Then it went to a referendum. It went to the people, and the Coyotes got destroyed in the polls. I believe they lost each by like 12 points, which is brutal. The people of Tempe, it's not happening. The proposal is not going through. Some big notes, Frank Saravelli, I should say, basically talking about how when it came to advertising and sort of getting the message out there, the Coyotes spent less than like $500,000. The other side of it, the unions, and oh boy, nothing gets the people going like the unions, eh? Especially the American ones. Everyone's aren't saying that. They spent millions on this. Again, and this was fueled off the fact that those unions, not even against hockey, they were just worried that they weren't going to be guaranteed to get the work at the end of this. This is what's so funny about this. Voter turnout, the Coyotes, in their minimal effort, were trying to reach out to a younger demographic. Majority of the voters were over 60 who actually went out. If you want to talk about young people voting, that's a whole different day for us. Like, it's the whole thing. The Coyotes social media account, for some reason, has been making jokes and polls about this, and I don't know what the game is. I don't think it's cute or funny. Everyone is talking about Utah, Salt Lake City, Houston, Hamilton. Quebec City's not happening. Let's stop talking about that. I wish.
How about Markham?
Mark Steven Stamkos is the new owner. Before we get into this, guys, I'm going to make my perspective quite clear on this. Again, Bill Daly, deputy commissioner, has confirmed that they will be playing in Mullet Arena next year. I'm going to say this. Friedman, Bob McKenzie could come back out and be like, guys, we're good. They're moving. And until the paperwork is signed and an announcement has come, I refuse to believe the Coyotes are going to move. Because I know it will happen over Gary Bettman's dead body.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget, I always get it mixed up if it's Morello is the owner or Gutierrez.
Morello's the owner.
Apparently, let's not forget, a big reason Morello likes the Coyotes is the local gambling laws. And if we know anything, I wrote a little article about it, by the way.
Great article.
Sports betting's pretty big. So we can talk about this, and everyone's saying Utah's going to happen, Houston's going to happen. Until it is official, I will not be surprised if they move. However, I know better than to assume Gary Bettman's going to move the Coyotes because that man is going to die on that hill. That's just my personal opinion, though. I'm expected to be wrong, to be honest with you, but still.
You know what I could see happening?
They go back to Atlanta. No, they don't go back to it. They go to Atlanta.
What happens? It becomes like the New Orleans Hornets.
You're gonna have to explain that to me.
Okay,
so I don't know what that means.
2011, the Hornets were down bad, and the NBA stepped in as kind of like basically their owner. Like the league owns the team.
Oh, so like the NHL did with the okay, yeah.
Yeah,
wow,
I can see that happening again, where they just do that. Like Gary Bettman's like, hey, you know what? We got to go back to this, and we'll make the trades, we'll make the deals, but we'll be in control of the team.
Is this the same Hornets? They're now Charlotte. Is it the Charlotte?
No, it's
Hornets?
still New Orleans, but this was when they were the Hornets, but now they're the Pelicans, and then the Charlotte Bobcats became the Hornets again.
Okay, I was gonna wonder. I'm like, okay, because isn't Michael Jordan the Hornets minority owner, or at least he
Yeah,
was? I was gonna say, and Gretzky was the head coach of the Coyotes. I'm like, wait a
yeah,
minute, this seems all very too
yes.
familiar to me. Getting
I
the
don't know. We'll
goats
see.
involved, that's pretty bad.
You know what's okay? This is one thing that they got lost in everything because of this, but it just like it is a crazy what if for me too, is because Logan Cooley is going back to university.
Right.
He's already played games at ASU, but it's just in the NCAA. He's like, yeah, not bad.
Like, what happens if like I don't know he pulls a Justin Schultz or an Adam Fox?
Um, the Coyotes could actually get a decent price for him if
Maybe,
he
yeah.
really wanted to go rogue. I don't know if that guy, that player, he might be NHL ready. I wonder if. Anyway, I mean
Well,
that's
I
worth.
think I don't know who said it, if it was Friedman or it might have been him who had actually said himself that he was leaning towards going pro until
Mhm.
this.
Oh yeah, that's not.
Because
Yeah.
I
Let's
know,
go back to the arena itself.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Um, I just wish there was some competence in ownership. Like even I think it was Friedman saying like even the NHL Matty Walsh, is it Matty or Marty Walsh? Why can I not
Marty.
remember his name? Marty Walsh, who himself was a union leader and mayor of Boston. I want to point out his political stuff because
Yo,
if there's
I'm
someone
sorry to interrupt, but before you go, shout out to Ron Hainsey being named like his number two. And
oh,
Ron Hainsey was apparently the guy who was really good on trying to get him hired. And I would assume the guy who also missed the fact that Jeremy Jacobs gave him money for the mayoral thing. Sorry, really wanted
oh
to get that out
no,
there. Go ahead.
I just
I hate this league.
I just wanted to point that out because again, elections, referendums.
Oh god, it's
You
so
think the guy
boring.
would know some? You think that guy would know something about it, right? And they were, I think it was Freeman was saying, even when he saw a week before the referendum, the referendum, what was going on, even he was worried that they were going to lose the vote. So can we just have some
Wow.
an ounce of competence, please? That's all I ask. Like, I didn't think it was that hard to get. Just the extremely. I get it. You're not a rich franchise, but you'd imagine when you are I don't know, trying to get an arena that could potentially change your franchise, that you'd put a little more effort in compared to what they did. So again, all I ask is confidence. I'm on the board of, if you just actually had legitimate ownership who was actually willing to care about the team and is interested in developing the team instead of just there for the gambling stuff, maybe we're having a different conversation. I don't know. It's very upsetting. I'd understand why people in Arizona are upset. Like it's ridiculous again that we're still at this point where guarantees that, oh, we're gonna get the vote, and then you have the NHLPA president who was in politics who was worried, and then you lose the vote, and now we're here.
yeah.
You know what's kind of funny to me is again, that Katie Strang article when she was talking about everything in Arizona. You remember how apparently they were bragging about the fact that they had gotten cheap napkins or whatever? Like
Yep.
they were
Yeah.
celebrating penny pinching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not rich, unfortunately. But if I know anything about business, and God help me, it's not a lot. Again, it's just watching Dragon's Den. Advertising's a big deal. Reaching your market's a big deal. And the fact that they didn't like I don't want to sit here and think they penny pinched that and they got complacent. But for the love of God, a part of this has to be on the league too. If
Sure.
I'm Gary Bettman, I have bent over backwards for you. They should have been in there and making sure, guys. Like, remember when Clayton Keller had to go to the city council and be like, please, I'm an all-star, please keep it.
Mm.
You shouldn't have to do that. Shouldn't have to do that.
He's
This
a
is the
trooper for
state
doing
we're
that,
in.
though.
Sorry?
He's a trooper.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for not for much longer.
No.
Oh, no, his dad's Twitter account was hacked. He didn't. No, come on. Like, this is the state we're in here. Like, this is so sad and so disappointing at every level. And there is the league should be to be disappointed. It's on the league. It's on the Morellos. It's on everyone there except the player. You can't blame the player. The player is doing their part. God bless anyone who has to go to Arizona, even though half of them aren't actually real players because it's 20 million in dead cap. But never mind. You think Shea Weber's going to go to camp next year?
He's gonna be the next person to go to the vote and ask. It's like,
oh, guys, I'm
No,
an all-star, just not here.
Yeah, multi-time hardest shot win. I'd like to say, what do you mean you never see me play? Shut up. Whatever. Hi, I'm Chris Pronger. Like, you just get all the all-stars out there. Yeah, Hossa, freaking Andrew Ladd's there too. I know he's kind of not in the same breath, but still. Like, I can't believe that we are actually almost at a point where it is believable that they could relocate. And I don't want to get into this thing of debating Utah or Houston. We can have that another. I don't care, but we're here. This is the state that we're in. I'm not saying every sport is perfect when it comes to relocation. God help me, I know what's happened, but guys, I think somehow my brother and his now wife have been married. Been married like 3 weeks. But their like 13-year anniversary is this summer. The Coyotes debacle and chasing an arena has gone longer than that. What's happening?
It's just ridiculous that we're still talking about the NHL as a top 4 league. I continue to say it. I don't feel bad, and I don't feel like I should. I can't think of any. I mean, is there another league who is dealing with it on this scale? The only one I can think of is the Tampa Bay Rays. Daniel, you'd have a better idea than me.
Oakland Athletics, they're actually relocated to Vegas because they couldn't get a stadium.
So they couldn't get a stadium, and they committed to moving, right?
Yeah, they committed to
okay.
Yeah.
The end of Moneyball really needs to be edited now.
It does, and so there we go.
Billy Beane is not talking to the media, by the way.
There's a solution. What's the solution here? Right? That's all. The solution, there is no solution at the moment. There was only one plan, and that is the concerning part of all of this, is that they were hedging their bet on this and this only, and they couldn't get it done. And they didn't get it done.
Any more you guys would like to say on the Coyotes, or shall we move on?
Get ready to, if you want any out of print rare merch, we should probably get it soon.
Oh man, that's tough. Okay. Impromptu power hour. We're gonna go through the little notes I have here on the doc. I'll just be like, Alex, tell me about Sutter. Daniel, tell me about Gallant, and we'll just go back and forth and quickly do that. Then we'll finish off with a bit of time dedicated to the playoffs. Okay, Alex, Daryl Sutter is out as Flames head coach. What do you think?
Not surprised. I'm surprised because of the owner, but I'm not surprised based on how this season went. Like, I couldn't believe that they let Brad Treliving go just to fire Daryl Sutter 2 weeks later. It was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. And the fact that they were like going to block him from talking to teams. And then remember when like the Panthers, or is it Sharks, fired Bob Bugner at like the end of the summer when all the jobs were taken? That reminds me of that. Not as bad because they've changed their mind, but still. Daniel, I didn't even mean to do this. Gerard Gallant is out. Will Detroit bring him on?
We'll see if Derek Lalonde, if he, I don't know if he's going to be able to lead Detroit. So maybe Gerard Gallant goes to Detroit this time. We don't know. I really felt that strongly before he joined the Rangers. So we'll see.
You did. Yeah,
Sorry.
you did.
Sorry, I can't believe that.
That just worked perfectly. Alex, Keith Jones is the new president of hockey ops for the Philadelphia Flyers.
I like it. I mean, everyone's saying this new era for Orange or whatever the saying is. It's really not. It's just another former player. But I think the way they have it established and the new CEO that they have looks like it's changed in some ways. It seems like Daniel Briere for now is going to have most of the decision making power. So that will be interesting to see how that goes. But I think with the Flyers and the current situation that they're in, I think they need to have a guy above Danny Briere, who I guess is in a way the face of the front office, I think I'll call it. And I mean, everything I've heard about Keith Jones seems to be like he's the right guy.
Again, didn't mean to do this, but it's worked out perfectly. The Ducks did have the best odds at Connor Bedard. It did not happen. They lose. They have been in one of the best positions to win 2 of the 3 biggest lotteries in our lifetime, and they fall to second. And Chicago will have the first overall pick in this year's draft. Daniel, I'll say this to get it out the way, and then you can talk about it as this Chicago team. I think all 3 of us agree the fact that there is no such thing as the hockey gods to do the fact that this team who covered up what happened with Kyle Beach is getting Connor Bedard. I don't think any of us have to reiterate that, but I feel like we should mention it anyway. Yeah, there should have been more consequences, and the fact that they have already made back the fine that they had to pay. They made hours after Bedard and after they won the pick and season ticket stuff. But at least we can look for, I guess, the rebuild, Daniel. Bedard, I guess.
It's unfortunate, but again, as much as I loved Bobby Ryan, I don't think that this is going to be the same draft in that sense. In a way, I think that it is definitely a stronger draft after Sidney Crosby, the way 2005 was. So, if it's going to be Adam Fantilli, he plays the Ducks style already. He's a scoring power forward. I like what they already have here in Anaheim, what they could build there. Zegras is getting better. McTavish is getting better. They sucked defense. Like, they actually did suck defensively. Like, they were the worst, one of the worst teams defensively of all time. So that really needs to get addressed. I think they're still in a good situation. You get a guy like Fantilli who's going to come in, and you're going to be growing together. Chicago, when it comes to them, they really did go for the scorched earth policy kind of thing. They're probably going to add later on with Connor Bedard, but I just don't see them having that same type of depth around him, at least for now.
Yeah. By the way, get my Habs segment in there. 5th overall. The last time they drafted 5th overall, 2005, Carey Price. There we go.
Another goalie then?
If Mitchkov is there and they don't take him, I will come on this show and I will rip them. I will rip their asses asunder.
Yeah,
I promise you.
If he's there and they don't take him, that's criminal.
Like, I can almost cope with Ryan. What's the guy's name? Ryan Backer or whatever, the defenseman. I can almost cope with that. But if Mitchkov is there, if Mitchkov, Carlson, or Smith are there, and you do not take one of them, I will lose it. I will call emergency podcast. I will lose it. I'm telling you guys right now. Okay. Make sure you are free the moment after 5th overall ends.
I will be.
I'll make sure.
Alex, the Winnipeg Jets are out. I mean, they were out a few weeks ago. They went out with a whimper, and I mean a whimper.
Yeah, they had a tough end to their season, and Rick Bowness called his players out. And Blake Wheeler didn't like it. And again, we have the same conversation, even though he's not the captain this year, what a great locker room. Is in there. And it's funny. I know I'm going long, but it's funny watching Paul Maurice. And I know Paul Maurice definitely deserves some blame in all of that, what happened in Winnipeg too. But it's funny to see him now in the conference finals while the Winnipeg Jets are whatever they're doing, and it's, to me, again, I don't get exactly what we're doing with this core of players here. You got to make a decision, like, I don't know if it's working, guys. I don't know if it's working, and you got some real big decisions, I think, to make.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man. Shout out Pierre-Luc Dubois. Cannot wait for him to be a freaking hab. Daniel looks to be that. Oh my god, I didn't write. Is it Kevin Conroy? No. Hold on, because there's a famous. I'm not a pop culture. Hold on a minute. Give me a minute. We're
Kevin Costner?
Craig
Conroy will be named Flames GM later this week. How do you feel about it? That's
good. It's funny. I did get, when I was really little, I got to watch him play. I always viewed him as like a Tyler Bozak type of player, because
Wait.
He
Sorry, is
on
he a
any other
former Flame?
yeah, he used to be like
Of
a
course.
first line center because he had chemistry with Joe McGinley, so it's like Kessel and Bozak. But yeah, Conway, he was there twice in his season. He was just like a fan favorite, so makes sense to bring back some goodwill in Calgary, to bring back a guy that you really love, a guy that he's been kind of like a star candidate for so long. And this is what Calgary needs because they just went through the ringer this entire year after being one of the biggest letdowns coming into the season. So one positive thing, I think. I don't know how he's gonna do for his job because I've never actually uh I don't guess followed what he's done trying to get to this path, but I wish him the best.
Um, yeah, and apparently maybe people are saying keep an eye out for Jerome McGinley to join the team. I think everyone wants that. Um, Alex, the Edmonton Oilers are out.
Yeah,
Say what you want about if it should have been you. You were ready for that.
Yeah.
sorry.
Even if we just ignore goaltending, if Campbell should have come in, I think a big story that I wasn't surprised to see this. Now, unfortunately, because this was the late series and work, I couldn't watch any of this series, which I am very upset with. Here's the big problem we have with the Oilers is they were a team that we knew how good they were on the power play. However, most of the game is played on 5-on-5. Game gets tighter in the playoffs. 5-on-5 production dries up. Where was 100-point player Ryan Nugent Hopkins? Oh, wait, he wasn't farming points on the power play anymore. But the Oilers didn't play 5-on-5. They lose in the second round.
I'm not gonna lie, I was very disappointed.
Good.
Because
Cool.
I had them going to the final.
Who was your who in the pool? Who was your other finalist? Who's the East?
Boston.
Oh,
Oh.
I mean, say I'd have them losing in the second round to Toronto. Yeah, no, it's tough.
So
I had
yeah.
Toronto and Dallas.
So you're
Hey, wait,
closer.
what? Did you?
I did, yeah.
We both had that. That's
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm amazed by that. Yo,
yeah.
Andre has not been good, by the way. We'll get to that
it's
later.
not been great.
been a shame.
No, I just it's weird because I feel like in the past 5-on-5 hasn't been their issue. I feel like in the past power play has been their issue at times. So it's unfortunate their scoring dried up. And I mean, let's just put it out like this. It was not the big boy. It was not the top two guys' fault. I can tell you that.
Oh God, no, God, no. Remember when Josh Archibald was an Oiler? Daniels. I mean,
don't.
Alex is just like, don't remind me of this.
I don't
please.
remember. I couldn't even tell you why I'm upset at him.
I think it was just because before he came out as anti-vax.
Yeah. But before
I think
that,
it was a thing of just like because they were playing him on the top line, and you were just like, what's happening here?
Oh yeah, maybe.
Daniel,
It was him or Zach Cassian.
Daniel, I don't
Sorry,
mean
go
to
on.
keep throwing you the Chicago stuff, but it has been said that I think Darren Dreger had it that Stan Bowman and Joe Quenneville, who teams have been talking to for jobs, okay. If I'm ignoring the Kyle Beach stuff for a second here, why would you hire Stan Bowman? Aside from that,
It's a
they will be
carousel.
meeting with the commissioner Gary Bettman at the end of the playoffs. Now, before I get your thoughts on this, Daniel, I just want to say one thing to everyone. I believe at least Joe Quenneville has, I think Friedman said in 32 Thoughts, a written version a couple months ago, maybe last month, that one of the two of them, I think Quenneville, yes, was doing work with Kim Davis, who's obviously a member of the league and their inclusion stuff, right? Here's what I want everyone to prepare for. In what world is Gary Bettman not going to let someone in who has been working with his league to improve him as a person? I don't believe the two of them have changed because they are grown men. I believe Quenneville may be in his like 60s or 70s, maybe Bowman around the same. But that's happening, Daniel. They're gonna get in. I'm telling everyone now. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. I'm not surprised, to be honest. I've already mentioned the carousel of the same type of guys you're going to go to for your pool of general managers, your pool of coaches right there. And I don't know. That's all I can really say about it. This is how I view the league is just that they're going to keep going back to all of this, expect a change, and then we'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see.
Finally, I'll just take this one just
Uh,
because I think it's very fascinating. Gabriel Landeskog will not be playing hockey next year, basically getting cartilage replacement in his knee. Now, I believe what it is, they go to another bone in the body and take cartilage from that and put it in. The reason this is significant, and the reason I wanted to talk about this, Mark Mathot, obviously former defenseman, Eric Carlson's longtime partner in the Sens. Ted Lindsay finalist, Eric Carlson, by the way, MVP finalist. Let's go. Ignore the Hart Trophy because it doesn't count because the media, but woo! Had to bring that up. Anyway, the reason I mentioned it, Mark Mathot said he didn't have the surgery, didn't really help him. Oh, sorry, it took him, he didn't get his skating back to a level. Also, this is the type of surgery Carey Price is looking at. Well, basically, he's probably not going to get it because it's, again, everything we've documented what's been going on with Carey Price. No, that's a goaltender, and their knees are already basically like grinded up dust, especially John McQuick can only imagine how his knees are still in one piece. But I again, Carey Price is facing retirement. I mean, let's be honest, he's probably never going to play again. He's had knee problems. Mark Mathot's talked about it. Now, obviously, Landeskog is not a goalie like Carey Price, so he won't have that. But he's already getting a little older. He's had knee problems before. I am not rooting against Gabriel Landeskog. I love him. I love the Avs, and you could see they were missing him in the first round versus Seattle.
mhm.
But I mean, just awful news to say. But just thought with
And
that,
and this is why William Nylander will be a Colorado.
I was talking about that with my friend Katie at work, and
Katie
we were
Strang?
talking about like
No.
Katie Strang?
not Katie Strang. No, I wish I
Okay,
worked at
okay.
the Athletic. That'd be awesome. I'd love to talk to Katie Strang. Let's try and get her on the podcast. I don't know if her DMs are open, but like, let's try it. Why
We'll
not?
try.
You work on anything else against the Coyotes, please? Oh, okay. We'll make this. Oh God. Okay. We gotta talk about the conference finals here. I'm wondering, do we just leave off the podcast there because we've had to come up on, and then we can really focus on the conference finals next episode, which
Okay.
I'm assuming
We've been going for an
Wednesday?
hour, Wednesday or Thursday. We've only been going for about an hour. I think we got some time.
Oh, have we only been going an hour?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, because
we
we didn't
started
start
late.
right at 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Mhm.
All right. The Vegas Golden Knights did not play well in Game 2 versus the Dallas Stars, but they eke out the win. Okay, here's what annoys me about the way Jake Ottinger's playing because I really like him. But man, sometimes his positioning is just confusing to me. You know what I mean?
Decision making too, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not single-handedly blaming him because I think Ryan Suter in the game-tying goal last night was abysmal. Just not only in that crappy pass behind the net, but also his coverage in front was just abysmal. But hey, we talked about this before. Sometimes you need to get a little lucky and win games you don't deserve to win the Stanley Cup. And right now, the Vegas Golden Knights are halfway from going back to the the Cup final
Cup final.
for the second time in their short history. Mark Stone's also been very good.
Yeah, Jack Eichel.
We got the full season to rest too, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and Jack Eichel.
And Jack Eichel, he has been very, very good. All this was like Aiden Hill in that. No offense, but like
I know.
we keep forgetting that not only is Thompson hurt, but like Robin Lehner hasn't played.
Yeah, and
Like
then
how stupid is that?
He's injured, yeah.
too.
Like this is almost their identity too. Like
Yeah,
just going through
X-Men up,
random
yeah.
goaltenders. It's wild, man.
I don't know. Sorry, I thought someone was outside. I think Vegas can do it. I don't know why. Because again, like we're at the point where I think all the teams are it's a tight matchup. It's the top 4 teams in the NHL, man. It's gonna be like this. But I think they're gonna be able to squeak it out. And I think Jake Onger being up and down, and I just think that might take him out to me. Daniel,
Yeah.
so you were looking
It's funny,
off.
like, when-
you were looking off. My bad.
Oh, sorry, I was waiting for you. Yeah. For me, I really kind of feel that he's been bailed out a lot more. It's weird. It's like a bizarro season for him. It's just he bailed out the team last year, Jake Ottinger,
Mhm.
and then this year they're bailing him out like crazy, making this type of run, especially with the goals they're getting.
This without Jason Robertson doing a lot of 5-on-5 scoring either. He's got
Right.
like one
Yeah.
or two goals of even strength.
Yeah, and for me, it's just this feeling that you need that guy to be consistent for you. They've had an amazing season. I at least want to get one of my predictions right for the finals. So I'm still thinking Dallas can grind it out. I think for as much as Vegas has been able to be a lot more competitive, a lot more consistent this year, I still have to give it the edge to Dallas right now.
Listen, you're not in trouble till you lose at home. But I am still worried for the Dallas Stars. I am. I don't know if they can do it, but um, I hate seeing games when you just let it slip away from you in the playoffs because I think those are games that you remember for the whole of your career.
Mhm.
But anyway, but yeah, no credit to a lot of the guys on Vegas, especially like seeing Marchessault really come alive this series, and I think towards the end of the Oilers one, he had that hat trick game in Game 6.
Yep.
It's still wild to me that Carlson Smith and Marchessault are all still together on that team. Like that's actually impressive, to considering how much turnover they have. By the
Yeah.
way, can we stop when we talk about the Hurricanes saying, "Oh no, Max Pacioretty"? It's been that all year. Like, can we
I know,
stop,
but
please?
they were supposed to have him.
I mean, yeah,
That's a
but
massive part.
is he gonna be back or is he just done? Do
No,
we
no,
know
he's
yet?
done.
Yeah,
That's a
he's done.
shame. I feel bad for him. Going to the other series, back to back games. First off, 4 overtimes, man. I'm so happy I didn't stay up for that. Both games, Matt Kachuk gets the OT winner. Both games, he immediately leaves the ice. I don't know why he did it in game two. That was really weird. Maybe he just wants to get back to Florida. Who knows? But man, I don't understand. Man, I'm not saying Ronta was bad. Why did they go back to Ronta for
To
game
Freddie.
two? Yeah, I don't
Sorry.
get that. No, see,
Why
no, back
did
to
they?
Ronta from Anderson.
He played more than 2 games for them in the first game.
Yeah.
Because Freddie's been good. I think he's been good. This is weird to me. I just don't get why they did it. Like, here's the thing: Bobrovsky's been good, right? Like in game two, Bobrovsky were keeping the Panthers in it that first
Sure.
period. Like it was the Canes were just skating circles around them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bobrovsky's been doing that all playoffs
This is true.
since he entered. He is. You know, we all listen, and I'm not saying this. Whatever, if they win the cup, maybe it will justify it. But I think a lot of people spent the majority of the season talking about Sergei Bobrovsky and his $10.5 million or $10 million in cap.
Just 10. No,
10. Sorry, you're right.
it's not Carey
10.
Price. Come on,
No, you're not. If it's over 10.1 million, it's bad. But if it's 10
man.
million or under, whatever.
It is
Besides
a
the
criminal
point.
thing that people were trying to get away with that.
Yeah, that whatever. Sergei Bobrovsky's $10 million, and you know his performances were okay. He is. It's like his run with Columbus when they swept the Lightning, just for a longer period of time.
He's like, remember yourself in a way now. I think that's what's been happening with him.
Yeah, and all credit to the Panthers because fine, they haven't looked the greatest, but they're still playing. They are still an extremely difficult team to beat, and Matthew Tkachuk has been absolutely outstanding. And I understand why he was third, or he was one of the finalists for the Hart. Like it makes sense.
I want to ask you guys this question because I've been thinking about it for a while now.
Yeah.
Has anyone's stock grown more in these playoffs than Matthew Tkachuk?
I mean,
Maybe
he already had the
Bobrovsky?
MVP nomination. So
I would say no, because I don't think he left last year's playoffs. I think rightfully so. He was heavily criticized after last year against Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
would it be biased if I said Carter Verhaeghe?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's so clearly Matthew Tkachuk because even though he has like 15 points in 14 games or whatever it is, even when he is not putting up points, he still has a massive impact to me on the game. So that's why I'd argue his stock has gone even larger. Yeah, he's putting up the points fine, but he's absolutely making an impact on the game, even when he's not scoring.
Okay. Anything else in the series you want to touch on?
I think Carolina comes back.
Why?
I think it's close enough in these games that they could turn the tide. I think they could turn the tide.
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
the line from? Hold on, I gotta look at something quickly. Hold
No.
on.
Are you about to bring sports betting into this? Come on.
No, absolutely
You said
not.
what's the line?
What's the line? What's the
No,
spread?
not like that. No, not
Okay.
that kind of like. What's it from freaking Lord of the Rings?
Oh.
God, when Gandalf's like the turn, there's turn of the tide. I've come
Oh,
back to you
I will
now
come
with
to
the
you at
turn of the
the turn of
tide.
the tide. Yes. At dawn,
Yeah,
look to the east.
yeah. So there you go. Turn of the tide.
Okay.
Sunbelt. Everyone's there.
Yes.
All right.
Everybody
Well,
loves Carolina. Not Carolina, Phoenix.
yeah. All right, gentlemen. Well, I think that's everything.
Mhm.
Thank you very much for listening, everyone. We're excited to be back.
We
Yeah,
are.
Wednesday or Thursday for our next episode.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, and I think we're back 2 a week. Until the summer, and then crap happens, and then pray for me because at work they're scheduling people on Saturday, so I may have Thursdays and Sundays off because
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I want to say something, but I probably shouldn't. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. And Eric Carlson is an MVP finalist.